This will probably be one of your biggest mistakes when you are coding in Python. And it might not affect your projects all the time, but eventually this will probably be the biggest source of bugs that you will encounter. And that is when you start importing everything from any package. So to explain this a bit better, I went ahead and created one package and imported the request package. Now, one is of course a very popular package for making network requests, and the other one is a very popular package that I created myself for this project. And the fake package just holds the variable x and y, and the values are irrelevant, but it just holds those variables. Now first, let's go ahead and do what we usually do when we create a request. First, we create a request, which is going to equal the get. And since we imported everything, we don't have to refer to the package name. We can just type in get and paste in some sort of URL. So here we're going to go ahead and paste in google.com, and we want to print that the request was good or not. And if we run this program, we're not going to have any problems. It's going to use the module as it should, and it's going to give us a 200 code, which just tells us that the request was good. Now, this might look really good, but now let's go ahead and look at how we can ruin this program with one line of code. And actually, this is going to be 2 lines, but just by creating another function called get, it's already going to shadow this one over here. So it's not going to give us the behavior we want. And this might seem fairly obvious that now we're calling the local get instead of the one from requests, but that also defeats the purpose because we don't want these to get mixed up. And if we run the program, we're going to get an error because these two are not compatible. As you can see, we need a name and account, but here we just gave it a URL because that's what we're expecting from the request. So that's the first point. It's very easy to break your project with name clashing. And this example was quite silly because it's right here, of course, and you can see that it clashes. But what's not so silly is if you're importing multiple packages, and get is actually part of the fake package as well, you're going to have the same name clash. And if you look inside here, it's going to say unexpected argument because it thinks you're referring to fake package. And if we run this program, it's still going to give you the same unexpected error. So what it's actually expecting is a name and a count. And that's nearly impossible to debug. You need to manually go through all the packages to make sure you have no name clashes, because you're not going to get any errors for using a different get. It's not going to say you're shadowing a name because this is its own package. And this also applies for variables from packages. We didn't just only import the functions from fake package, but we also imported the variables, which means now it's very easy to mix up our own variables. So if we want to refer to X, it's going to let us use it from fake package because it's there. And we can also do the same thing for Y. It's going to let us to directly access that. But the biggest issue is that we don't even know where X and Y came from. So we can easily mix this up. And this can lead to major bugs in the future because you're going to be thinking, why does X give me this result or why does Y give me that result? And you're going to have very little to work with because the console is not going to tell you, of course. It's probably going to tell you why you're trying to append a string to a number, and that's going to be your biggest clue. But it's not going to tell you that fake package has its own variables that are shadowing the ones that you want to use. So if you go ahead and run the program, we're still going to get the error, but we're also going to have this printed to the console, X and Y, which come from fake package. And this can happen with any package, not just the requests or the fake package. This can happen with literally any package. Even the math module or the string module, anything that you import to Python can turn into a name clashing, such as this one, and produce undefined behavior that you will have a very difficult time to debug. So definitely a better approach would be to completely remove the asterisk and go ahead and say import requests as are, or whatever you want to name it. That is much easier to use because you will always know where your function is coming from. So r.get will 100% of the time guarantee that we're getting this from the request module, unless for some reason you decide to import fake package as r, and then you'll have the same silly mess, but that would be extremely ridiculous. So please don't do that either. But anyways, guys, that's actually all I wanted to cover in today's lesson. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.